as it's kind of the theme of the show, really, I think, is just like doing things and being out there and like having experiences. Like somebody has had to have approached you with some crap that just sounds real boring. Like, nah, I don't want to do that. Like for any reason.
Well, I thought the theme of the show was my glory.
I mean, I thought that like being humble was also the facade you were going for.
You know, I decided that maybe being a little cocky is the way to bring in more listeners. We're a couple episodes deep, and I'm feeling a lot better about it.
They just got to know who you are and how you roll.
Yeah, exactly. However, you're right. There are plenty of non-glorious places I've been, and plenty of things that, like, yeah, the whole theme of this is I'll say yes to anything because there's got to be a good story in it, regardless of what it is, like good or bad.
So if I was like, hey man, it's like middle of the week. Let's be honest, being a wrestler pretty much means you're unemployed. Like, let's just hop in the car and go to like Kansas.
Fair statement. It's never happened to me with Kansas, but it did happen, and it ended up in one of the greatest road trips I've ever taken.
To where?
Montana.
What the hell is in Montana that anyone goes there for any reason?
Nothing. There's nothing in Montana. You ever been?
No, I don't know why I would go. Like, that's a sincere question.
Have you ever walked down to the middle of a cornfield?
Well, sure.
Yeah, it's pretty much the same. There's just mountains.
Mountains and corn, or mountains instead of corn?
Mountains instead of corn. Not like the most scenic mountains ever, because you'd want to go like to Colorado or Utah or something like that. There's just the mountains though.
Why does that even happen?
Why do I get to Montana?
Well, yeah, why was that a thing? Like,
Yeah. So, yeah, I've said yes on a whim to like several big road trips. 2 years ago, though, Dylan Bostic hit me up about what ended up being the greatest road trip of all time. I mean, don't be expecting much from this story. Like, it's not the greatest story of all time.
Well, you just set the bar pretty high.
Yeah, it's subpar at best. Like, this is a filler episode, Pete. Just kidding. Anyway, so yeah, Dylan Bostic is a good friend of mine. We go way back. We met when he was 15/18 and just get into the wrestling business. He was 18 for like 4 years, by the way, if anyone asked. So, you know, legal things.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because, so Dylan hit me up on a Tuesday. It was like, hey man, I'm going to do 3 shows in Montana this weekend. I'd really rather not drive alone. It's Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Do you want to go with?
That's the pitch.
Yep.
Didn't sweeten that up at all. He's like, bro, I have a long drive to nowhere, and I don't want to do it by myself.
That's really all we need in wrestling, though. Like, that's a very common thing. Hey, man, I have a long drive to somewhere not exciting. Don't want to go alone. Like, we don't lie to each other because I do it to you one week, you do it to me the next week, and it's just reciprocal. Like, if I have to drive to Des Moines next week, I might just call someone and be like, hey, I need you to ride with me. No promises. Doesn't make sense outside of our business, does it?
No, like not for any reason.
Yeah. But sometimes it ends awesomely, and sometimes you just drive to Des Moines to not get on the show, and then you drive home.
All right. So I'm going to assume, again, the nearly unemployed crap.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
He's rented a car, and you're roped into this deal.
Mm-hmm.
Like, take me through how this becomes a thing.
We're both dead broke at the time. And we don't know if either one of our cars is going to make it. And I asked him, like, hey, man, how far is it? It's like, oh, I don't know, 22 hours.
It's Montana. It's far.
Yeah, it was like 22 hours. The first city. The shows were Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 3 different cities in Montana. And it was like 20 some hours. At the time, I don't remember what vehicle I had. I just knew it won't make it. And Dylan, I don't remember what vehicle he had. He just knew he wouldn't make it. So he rented a car. His mom helped him rent the car, I believe. And we're dead broke, and we're like, all right, we're gonna go rock this 3 days. I was like, hey man, can you get me on the show? He's like, I don't know, but I'll try.
It's Montana, dude. I can draw out there. Trust me.
Yeah. I was like, oh, okay, well, cool. So later that night, he goes and picks me up, and we start off and leaving like 10 p.m. on a Tuesday or something. Like, we're gonna be in the car for like a day and a half. So let's just get going.
You were just selling the hell out of the excitement. 10 o'clock to Montana. Wow.
Well, yeah, we might as well make up as much time as we can overnight. We don't want to hit rush hour traffic in Davenport.
Fair point.
Yeah. Or in a Bismarck. So we hop in the car and, we're driving overnight, and then, Dylan starts contacting the promoter, and he's like, hey, man, my buddy Jake's coming with me. He's really good. You should use him all 3 days. So I didn't have a guarantee. I could have made this drive for absolutely nothing. It's like, this is going to be a great story. So we're driving, and there's a lot of things we do on the road that some people might think like, oh, that's like moralless or dirty, but it's just what you have to do to get by.
You're gonna need to fill that in a little bit, because I'm wondering if you're like compromising your morals.
Yeah, you're looking at me
gas money.
Weird about that. No, nothing like sexual for the most part. So, but we're driving all through the night, and like 5 a.m. hits, and I'm like, we're starving. We should probably sneak into that hotel to try and get a continental breakfast. So like we pound like as many boiled eggs and, sausage links as we can. And then we hit the road again. And then, a few hours later, we stop at like McDonald's and we get like a $2 menu items. And then on the receipt, it says, fill out the survey, buy 1 quarter pounder, get 1 quarter pounder. And then like 2 hours when we're down the road again, we go ahead and buy 1 to get 1. So it costs us each like $1.50. It's called being frugal and handy. And there's some other synonyms
for being cheap.
Yeah, we're broke.
I mean, I don't know where you're trying to gussy it up, man.
Suave.
It's called stealing. Like you stole from the Hampton or wherever.
I had a friend actually go off on me once about that being theft. And I was like, I guess that's true. Yeah, we did. Like we lied and we stole, I guess. But there's excess food anyway, and a lot of it's going to go to waste. Making sure the food doesn't go to waste. I also happen to not have any money. We're starving artists. You think Van Gogh didn't dumpster dive?
I understand the analogy. I don't know that dumpsters existed when Van Gogh was around. You're the history major.
Yeah, they did. He would go out back in Milan, and there's a trash can-esque device, and he's going to steal some bread from it.
Well, ultimately, Milan has got to be much more scenic than friggin' Montana.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure. I've never been to Milan. What if it's the Montana of Europe? What if Italy's the Montana of Europe?
I think regardless of what happens, from now on, Italy is the Montana of Europe.
Mm-hmm. Eventually, we get to Great Falls, Montana. I've never even heard of that city. I only knew Billings, Montana, which was day 3 of the trip. So we get to Great Falls, Montana, and we show up at the show, and it's at this baseball field, which is usually a very bad sign, because even if you get 1,000 people on a baseball field, it still seems like there's no people there because you're on a freaking baseball field.
Right.
Yeah. So it's like 10, 20 minutes before the show starts, and a guy finally comes up to me and is like, hey, did you bring your stuff? Do you want to wrestle? I'm like, no, I just drove 22 hours to hang out.
That's probably not the best first impression, Jake. I'm just throwing that out there.
Yeah, either way. So I got in the opening match against a fellow named Christopher Rysek, who's this short, bald dude with completely ripped, like his so many abs. And he wore this sweet jacket that had a hood, but it had the ab section cut out. And he was so super oily, and his character was like so super effeminate. And he did all of Trish Stratus's moves. And as he was explaining this to me in the back, he's like, seriously though, don't judge me.
I need you to accept me.
I was like, nah, man, that's cool. Like, I'm going to beat you up. The crowd's probably going to love this.
Well, who did it? Who does it better, him or Trish Stratus?
I mean, Rysek's stuff looked good. Like, it looked really good. He looked good. Great guy, too. So, we have, like 7-minute match or whatever. So, we go out, and this baseball field is full. There's like almost 500 people there on a Thursday night in Great Falls, Montana. Like, oh, yeah, this is kind of crazy. Because, weekday shows rarely draw that many people. There's 500 people here. So we do the show. The match is great. Loved it. And then we go out during intermission to sell merchandise. I didn't bring way too much stuff. Dylan brought boxes full of merchandise because he's intelligent like that. During the show and during the intermission, I feel like at least 450 of the 500 fans that night came up to us and personally thanked us for coming to Montana, for coming to Great Falls, and for performing. And they all wanted to buy something to show their thanks.
So they know how great Great Falls is.
Yeah. Believe it or not, nothing has ever come there. Nothing. You believe it, don't you?
I do.
Because it's true.
I mean, but as I we put in hours of pre-show research. I mean, because we're prepared individuals.
Absolutely.
Like second largest export, if you can call it that, of Montana is tourism, which is not an export, but it's agriculture, and then tourism is how they bring in their money. So apparently people go. But apparently wrestlers don't go, and they don't go to Great Falls.
Bands don't come either. WWE doesn't even come. No one goes to Montana. I feel really bad for all of them, but it's great for us because they probably hung up one flyer in town, and everyone came. Like, everyone came in. They personally thanked. Not too many shows does someone come up to us and thank us for coming because they just don't have anything else to do. Yeah, much like when Dylan or someone asks me, like, hey, do you want to go to this show? I'm like, yeah, sure, I don't have anything going on, and I just go. I feel like it's like that with every city in Montana, where your friend is like, hey, there's a thing going on, and you don't even have to ask what it is. And you're like, yeah, sure, I'm in.
Dope. Let's go. Let's go.
Like how I want my friends to be when I say I'm going to see DMX.
Dude, you got to go see DMX because he's going to be in prison again, like at the end
some
of the show.
point. Yeah. I went to see Hip Hop Halloween a couple of years ago, and it was one of the best nights of my life.
Story for another day, I assume.
A story for another day.
Bastard.
We finish up in Great Falls, and we go crash in the hotel, and then we drive like 5 hours or something like that, even further across this enormous, nothing-filled state. And on the way, too, we stop at this like rest stop area, and we see all these warning signs for bears, and it tells us the difference between a black bear and a Kodiak bear, and pretty much don't approach either one of them.
Yeah, why couldn't you just say that? Like, bears, stay away.
There must be a practical reason to know the exact differences of bears in Montana. Don't know what it is, don't care, but I wanted to see them. I also really want to see buffalo, because I knew there were buffalo in Montana. We didn't see any, Pete. Apparently they're only in like farms.
Oh, they don't just roam the wilds of Montana?
You'd think they would. There's so much to roam.
I mean, yeah.
Also, speaking of Italy, so much to roam.
Oh, that's like one of them there puns.
We got to town number 2. Apparently, actually, sometimes has stuff going on. So day number 2, Friday, another baseball field, this time in Missoula, Montana. I'd never heard of Missoula either.
The zoo, what up?
But at least they have 2 colleges there. So like University of Montana, and there was another one. I don't remember what it's called.
Because it's a crap college.
Probably Montana Institute of Technology, MIT.
Let's go U of M, baby.
U of M. I was going to throw out a mascot, but I don't even know the buffalo.
The buffalo.
Yeah, the buffalo. So the next night, there's probably like 100 more people there on a Friday night in Missoula, Montana. Also, side note, that day, we went to this awesome gym. Like we got like a day pass because one of the guys knew someone from that town at one point, like 20 years ago. And they gave us this day pass to just this gigantic, super cool gym in Missoula, which was like actually like built into kind of a mountain. And the town had this really sweet, like hipster downtown area. It was like a large version of Fountain Square. Like that was really cool.
Hipsters are ruining America. Come on.
How many times have you went with me to the Fountain Square, bro?
I've been to Fountain Square once, but you weren't there.
I frequent the place. You should go. So many great establishments.
There's like a reason I've only been there
so
once.
many potential sponsors. Like Kuma's Indie or the White Rabbit.
Actually,
or the
yes.
Hi-Fi or Squared Cat Vinyl. Night number 2, same thing. Open up the show. Christopher Rysek goes out and makes all the people in Montana feel really uncomfortable with themselves. And then I come out to thunderous applause. I beat him up. And they love it. And it's the same thing. Night 2, we go to the merch table. Now, I've already got this game down. So instead of even just having the merchandise table like out somewhere to the side, I take my merchandise table and I move it as close to the exit of the building as possible. So I can go out there in intermission and make a lot of money selling stuff at the table. And then on the way out, everybody has to pass me back on the exit. They have $5 left. You know what they need? Jake Oman t-shirt. Jake Oman picture.
I was going to say, wait, you're selling shirts for $5 a pop? Come on, man. You're not doing that.
Dylan Bostic had like 3 boxes of masks, like lucha masks. He made so much money. Unfortunately, he had to split it with some dude who like cornered the game.
The Mask Man?
Yeah. So we go to crash the hotel that night. Another like sweet hotel. And by the way, we're getting continental breakfast that we like actually are allowed to have.
So this is breakfast you paid for. So breakfast you can feel good about eating.
Yeah, it came with our continental suite. Day 3, we hop back in the car, and we have to drive back across the state, like, I don't know, 3-4 hours, something like that, to go to Billings, the only town that I actually knew. On the way, what did we see on the side of the interstate? Bear retreat.
What?
Yeah, like a bear retreat, like a bear sanctuary. So we pulled off that exit so fast and paid like, I don't know, $7, $10, I don't know, whatever mask money we made the night before to see bears.
Could you tell which ones were Kodiak and which ones were black?
I don't
brown or I don't.
I think they were all brown bears. They were big. It was badass. And they had like 8 bears, and they would go in shifts, like 2 at a time for 2 hours. Yeah, it was super cool.
Like the bears are working this gimmick. Like they know that.
I guess I don't want attention that long.
Oh,
I don't know.
Look, guys, if you get nothing else from today's episode, like bears don't like attention, and you need to know the difference between a Kodiak and a black bear.
Something about HIPAA. Like you can't have them work in shifts longer than 2 hours.
HIPAA, OSHA, something.
Yeah, I don't know. By the way, did you know the minimum wage is $7.25? No one must have told my boss that he's been paying me like $4.15 for years.
What a dick.
Yeah. We saw some bears, man. Like that was really awesome. We didn't see buffalo. They might have been in the same habitat originally, but the bears, stopped that.
Put an end to it real quick.
Yeah. They feasted, apparently. All 8 of them. We saw some bears. We moved on to Billings, Montana. That night, we were in a hockey arena. And there were even more people, like, I don't know, 700 people or something. Super cool. Everyone thanked us. Everyone bought merch. Really, really awesome. Pretty good swerve from thinking I'm not even going to be on this show to beating up the same dude in the opener every night to like thunderous applause. I was famous.
Sweet swerve reference. Shout out Lonzo Ball, Lance Stevenson. I see you.
Absolutely. Don't know what that is. So,
they're single, dog, called Swerve.
Really?
Yeah, they're on that rap game.
Is it good?
No, it is not.
Is it better than my rap game?
Obviously not.
No.
Let's be real.
All right, sweet.
Mixtape coming soon.
Yeah, DJ FYSU. So now here's what I think is the best part of the story. I've gotten asked a lot if I'm scared to travel alone and go all of these places, right? I would say, no, actually, the most I've ever felt scared in my entire life has only been in the United States. And, I usually jokingly throw out Detroit because we associate Detroit with violence. But the only time in my life I've actually been scared for my life was in Billings, Montana.
Yeah, I'd lie and say Detroit too. That's just not tough.
Yeah, but you've never been to Billings.
Yeah, no one's ever been to Billings.
No one's been to Billings. There's a reason. There's a reason you might not make it out alive. It's downtown Detroit in Montana.
With bears.
Yes, exactly. So, oh my God, it's more dangerous. It's the most dangerous place on the planet. Move over Syria, Billings, Montana.
Oh, snap. That's big talk. I need you to explain.
Yeah, that's the name of the episode, Move Over Syria. So Dylan and I wrestle at the show. We decide to go to the after party. People are like, hey, there's going to be free pizza and free booze at this bar, so we should all go to the bar. And I'm all about free food, obviously. We've been scrapping to get by. Don't worry about all the massive amounts of money we made. That's going to go to the rental car and gas and, child support and stuff. So we end up going to the after party because I want some food. Dylan wants a drink. And then we're going to catch some Z's and we'll drive like 24 straight hours home or something. Something ridiculous. So we go out to this bar, and from the outside, we're like, man, this is a really nice place, like bar, but also / club. We walk in, and we get this really intense pat down. And we go through a metal detector, and there's like 7 bouncers at the door.
Dude, that's how you know this place is legit. Let's be honest.
It's something. We're like, man, this is pretty intense for Billings, Montana. And if for anyone who hasn't seen Dylan, he's a very Justin Bieber-esque individual. Very pretty, short blonde hair, likes to wear chains, likes to rock Gucci.
He's no Ace Perry, though, if we're being honest.
Ace is more like a Zac Efron vibe. And Dylan's more of a Justin Bieber vibe. Either way, neither would have fared too well in this establishment. And I look like me. Practically Jason Momoa and Justin Bieber walking into this bar. So we walk in, we take a few steps in. Dylan's getting patted down as I'm standing there. I just got, frisked and like felt up and probed. And I look over in the distance, and like 20, 30 feet away, there's this group of like metalhead, like kind of punk dudes, like denim and leather and chains and spikes, a lot of tattoos. So I look over, I'm like, okay, those are probably my people. And a very attractive punk rock chick, like half her head shaved, like bright hair, like looks over at me, stares me right in the eyes, looks all the way down, all the way back up. I'm like, yeah, it's going to be a good night in Billings. Feeling myself a little bit now. And Dylan walks up beside me. I'm like, yeah, man, that girl over there is like checking me out. So I look over and she's still staring at me. And she hasn't smiled. Then I see her say a few words to the guy that's next to her whose back is to me. And then, like a scene from a movie, he turns around and his like 7 buddies all turn around and just stare at us. And they burn through us with their eyes. So Dylan and I, we look at each other like, oh.
Not as flattering as you once thought.
No, we're like, oh man, those guys are gonna start something. They're gonna beat our ass. There's 7. No wonder there's 7 bouncers at the door. Like, whew, man, that's pretty intimidating. So like, we're a little bit flustered. There's only 2 of us. We've never been in the city. It's like, all right. And I turn to Dylan. I'm like, hey, let's go ahead and find the rest of the guys. So we walk around the perimeter of the building and we stop in the next corner. It's a really big room. We stop in the next corner. We go ahead and catch our breath, get our bearings. And we look over and there's this group of gang members, like super thugged out dudes, like pants sagging, bandanas rocking. Like it's like the Montana Bloods.
Yeah, but your time with Earl should have prepared you for this. Like I assume that's what you get to call DMX, right?
Nothing could have prepared me for this, right? So we look over and there's a group of like 12 gang member looking individuals, and they all turn around at the same time to stare through us. I'm like, oh man, what's going on with this place? Like, all right. Dylan, kind of looks at me. I kind of look at him, and we don't need to say anything, but we kind of give each other that nod, like, well, let's find the other guys. So we continue walking the perimeter, and we get to the next corner of the room. We stop, and we look over, like 20 feet away. There's this group of like frat boy looking football player dudes, like leather jackets, crew cuts, super blonde.
The U of M bros.
The
Buffaloes.
The Buffalo. So they all in their herd turn toward us, like 12 dudes, like all just stare a hole burning through us, like they just want to rip us limb from limb. Now, it's very important to point out, like, this is a big place, but these are 3 polar opposite groups of people coexisting. No problem. They get along.
No, there's clearly a problem, and it's not them.
There's massive segregation going on in this place, but all of these people have one common enemy, and apparently it's us. So we, obviously, we're not gonna admit that we're scared here. We go ahead, we turn to each other, give each other that look like, Jesus, where are the rest of the guys? Because we took our time leaving, and other people left before us. So we're looking like we see none of the guys. We see no free pizza and beer. We see a few rooms around the corner, like, oh man, like, okay, let's go check out those private rooms. So we go around the corner and like we peek in a private room, no one. We peek into a private room, no one. We're standing there in the hallway, just kind of looking at each other like sweating bullets. And we look down the long, narrow hallway and we see the promoter outside and we see one other wrestler. Like, okay, well, let's go talk to Kirk. So we walk outside and there is the promoter of the show, like a 60-year-old-ish man, and then 2 or 3 other wrestlers. And we walk up to Kirk, like, oh, hey, man. He walks up to us, and he just looks terrified. And he just walks up to us and looks us right in the eyes and looks down and shakes his head. He's like, hey, listen, guys, I think if we stay, there's going to be a problem. I think it's best for us if we just all leave. So Dylan and I turn to each other and look at him and like, oh, thank God you said it. All right, man. Thank God you said it, because we weren't going to be cowards about this. Like, we weren't scared or anything, but we thought, like, there's like 50 dudes in there. They're just going to rip us limb from limb, apparently. Like, all right, cool. So we're not the big fat, that of this group. Like, okay, sweet. So we decide, like, we look around on our phones, like, there's nothing else open. Like, there's no other restaurant we can go to get food. So it's just like McDonald's, which we've rocked a lot of the last few days. So
we got coupons, man.
Yeah, exactly. So we bought 1 quarter pounder and got 1 free because we're crafty. And then we head back to the hotel. We go ahead, crash that night, wake up bright and early the next morning, drive 24 hours straight home. Ended up being one of the best road trips, one of the best weekends of my entire life.
You survived. You made it out of Montana alive.
So besides the last like 20 minutes of this bar situation, this was like some of the most joyful 3 days of my whole life. And I tried to get on this show again last year, and I messaged like 3 or 4 people, and none of them got back to me. And eventually Kirk got back to me like 2 weeks after the show.
I would have just lied and said, yeah, they're all mauled by bears.
Yeah, they got trampled by buffalo.
That's why you love bears. They help thin the buffalo herd.
Yeah. By the way, I didn't find out about this until afterward, but we're not gonna throw any names out because, you know, anonymity is key to us, is paramount. But one of the cutest girls from high school that was in your grade, totally preppy cheerleader girl, lives in Missoula, Montana. Why?
Wait, you didn't know that beforehand?
I didn't know that beforehand because you better believe I would have just been like, oh, hey, girl, like, it's too crazy that 2 Hamilton Heights kids are chilling in Missoula, Montana. Do you want to grab some coffee at a hipster establishment down the road? 7 choices. Do you want an Ethiopian pour over?
Dude, respect for knowing what an Ethiopian pour over is, though. And also, I feel like a bigger douche than I did when we started. Like, you know how you say a thing and then you regret it immediately? And it's now recorded and going to be on the internet.
What did you say?
The coffee reference.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So, also, there was another time I went on one date with a hipster girl from Chicago, and we went into the fancy, super, like, hipster coffee establishment that she worked at, and they're like, all right, what do you want? And I was like, oh, I'll take the whatever of the day, the drip of the day. They're like, okay, it's, you know, I'm a Peruvian, da-da-da. I'm like, oh, sweet. So, I'm being honest. I like going to those places. I like trying all those coffees. I can't taste the difference. Ever. I've never tasted the difference. But I get my coffee black all the time too, because I don't want like the extra sugar and the extra calories. So she's like, hey, I'm sorry, I don't think I'm pretentious by going here. This is just a place I really like. I'm like, okay, cool. She orders her thing. And I'm like, you know what? I'll take the same. I always take the whatever of the day. Or I ask the barista, what do you recommend? Because they know the best thing. And I'm like, oh, I'll take it black. And then like she looks at me and smirks and like a little smile. I'm like, okay. It's like we're walking down to the end of the bar, and she's like, hey, so you know how I just told you I don't want to come off as pretentious? Well, it makes me really happy that you ordered the coffee black, because if you put anything else in it, it bastardizes the blend.
Wait, hold up. It was a blend? Bruh, that was your opportunity to do the negging. Be like, blend? I'm a single origin kind of guy. What the hell is this?
Oh man, see, if I knew the exact verbiage she used, it was probably correct, because she seems like the type it'd be very correct about. But yeah, so that's a fun story about being hipster and douchey. Anyway, I would have totally asked this cute girl we went to high school with that I never had a conversation with. You probably did, at some point. Yeah. Be like, hey, let's grab an Ethiopian pour over, baby girl.
I think the next time you court any female, the audience, that's the phrase. Like, that is what you do. And then comment like below or beside or wherever you comment, like how that worked.
Yeah. Let's go out for an Ethiopian pour over, baby girl. Say that.
Exactly that. Yeah. Like nothing more, and then let us know what happened.
Yeah.
We'll give you a shout.
Speaking of shouts, I think that you should probably rate, subscribe, give us a shout on the iTunes. I heard that we're on some other platform too. Someone else said they listened to it through something else. That's pretty cool. Must be related to our iTunes uploading.
Yeah.
And also go ahead and give us a follow at Off the Cliff Pod on all the social medias. At Multimedia Hustle is Pete for all your graphics and tech needs. At Jacob in 2012 is me on everything.
For all your wrestling or stripper needs.
Yeah, exactly. That's upcoming. And we will catch all you guys later.